나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 나무 묘호랭개교 If you don't know your father, if you don't know who he is or how he is who he is or his history, if you don't understand your father, then how can you be a fully developed, how can you know yourself as a man? Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for being here today. I hope that you're in good health and secure. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. So this analogy of the father in Buddhism, it comes up a lot. And it's useful to think of it as we typically would, being samsaric human beings. Immediately our mind goes through to our own father. Certainly that's our first thought. For you ladies, you could think of the father or parents or the mother. But sticking with the rhetoric, the rhetorical device of father, taking as given the patriarchy, yeah. But this is no less significant for you ladies, so I don't want you to think that Buddhism excludes you in any way. Again, Buddhism is about the mind and attitude and intent, right? But in terms of the teachings of 3,000 years ago, the rhetoric is about something that's easily accessible. And so the idea of not knowing one's parent, that's fraught with all kinds of psychology and so on and so forth. Not least of which I want to observe is the fact that in our generation, in our time, I don't mean the 2000s, I mean the modern centuries, the idea of identity, who you are, who I am, is greatly influenced, whether you specify it or not. The idea of who you are in life, in society, in the groups you associate with, in the country, in the, your larger identity, and even in your own mind, who you think you are, is greatly influenced by your family, your siblings, certainly, but absolutely. Well, I get that from my mother. I get that from my father. There's that. Purple Rain, the Prince song, is about this. Yeah? It's a very contemporary discomfort, unease. And maybe for some of you, it's a great source of strength. So, when we read in Shakyamuni's writings, in Nichiren's writings, in Tendai's writing, this reference to the parent or the father, and we read the association of Buddha-ness, as the parent, right? Because we do that all the time. Remember, try to understand the profundity of that meaning. So as you've heard me talk over and over again about energy, the energy that everything in the universe is just manifestations of endless forms of energy. Not just forms, but accumulations, right? Aggregates, the skandhas of energies leading to consciousnesses, right? Follow that pattern. So if the fundamental mechanism, process, I always call it, of life by the universe, by the virtue of the reactions, forms, collections, instantiations of energy in this universe, what is produced ultimately is an apparatus to emerge a mind, consciousnesses, yeah? And so in a very real way, the universe, let's qualify the word universe as not just a collection of stuff, but the identification of a fundamental process. The universe is not just a collection of stuff. More profoundly, that collection of stuff that we call universe is a product of, it's a construct of a fundamental process. And just like a star, a solar system with planets, a galaxy, or the entirety, you and I are also a product. A unique product in that we emerge a mind. A mind which can only exist by virtue of this product. It's pretty narrow. It's pretty specific. But it's only specific in that it has a unique ability to look back on itself, to perceive an identity. And boy, is it fascinated with that. And that is our mind. But that fascination with identity, like a little baby putting everything in his fingers and mouth, we quickly forget that we're a product, how we got here, and how much that process is significant and plays into, and it is the very substance of our existence, our being. We are verbing this process, right? So please try to hang on to that perception while we use these convenient words of samsara, because it's easy to forget what's actually being discussed here, okay? So when we read, right, we just read about the 3 bodies of Buddha, but why do we care about bodies of Buddha or definitions of aspects of Buddha? We call them bodies. Why? Because this apparatus is what we identify with, not because that's what it is. Buddha is a perception, and that only happens in mind. Buddha is not this. If nothing else from the lifespan of the Tathagata chapter, get that is what Shakyamuni is saying. You guys think that this is what manifested Buddha, but it's not Buddha's always been. Buddha is a perception of a process that's always been, more accurately said. Because if all you say is Buddha's always been, there's some of you out there thinking, well, that means that the universe is conscious. No. Consciousness only occurs in the mind, and the mind only occurs through this apparatus. And this apparatus ain't there at the start of the universe. So don't get it confused, please. Even though I may not articulate it specifically every time, please understand. This life is your only opportunity for Buddha-ness. The process, it just goes on. It doesn't care about being, right? Like water flows down a river. It doesn't care if you're looking. Like that fire analogy where he said, we can't say the fire deliberately consumed the wood. That's just what fire does. It finds a source of fuel and it eats it up. That's what it does. It's not a conscious endeavor. Just like this process of the universe, it's not conscious. You are consciousness. While you're alive, with blood coursing through your veins, you have created the creation of you, let's say, has given an opportunity for a mind to arise. That mind arises while your apparatus is functioning, and when your apparatus stops functioning, then it's just like every other piece of dirt, right? Ashes to ashes. The mind is gone. So the process continues with or without you, but the perception of it, that's Buddha. Now, how do you connect that with the entirety of creation, the universe, the engine of life? So the family analogy is what is used to try to demonstrate the proper way of living, because that's what Buddhism is about. Grandmaster Miao declares in his 500 questions and answers, a man who does not know the long life of his father is like a man who wanders around the country governed by his father. A man who does not know the long life of his father is like a man who wanders around in the country governed by his father. Governed. If you don't understand the nature of the engine of life, then you wander around. Why wander? You're directionless. In other words, you can make no conscious effort to guide your life. You're guided by whatever has spawned you. You're like the water, like the fire. You're conscious, but you're not really conscious. Such a man cannot be a son of a man, no matter how talented he is. In other words, you cannot inherit the traits of the nature of the universe, of the power, the magnificence, the force that is the procreative force of conscious, deliberate action, if you don't understand that that exists. You can't do it. You're just like the tree analogy. You're just plummeting through life, waiting for stuff to happen. You're not directing your own life. And, quote, even though his talent is as great as that of the people, of all the people in the country put together, he is nothing but a fool if he does not know how old his parents are. So we hear that analogy about not knowing either the parent or how old the parent is or their life or their history. It's not about dad. It's not about mom. It's about the lineage of the process of life itself. What were the forces, cumulative energies, karma, that brought about an organism, what do I call it? An apparatus that was able to spawn, emerge, a conscious mind, an observer mind. What were the processes that led to this? If you don't at least respect that, then you are rudderless. You're just happening. And when you're just happening, you're at the will of everything around you. You feel like life is happening to you because the you part is so weak. No matter how strong you think you are, how talented like the whole community, if you have no rudder, if you don't really get the function of life of which you're a manifestation, then you have no hope of understanding how to influence that, use that, direct that, work within its opportunities and confines to further exercise direction, momentum. Where's it going? How can I influence it? Don't like that? Move away from that. Would like to do this, but better? I can lend energy to that. But if you have no idea of the momentum, then you're just static, which is an illusion. As we know, there is nothing static, but your mind is static and therefore cannot grow, cannot understand what's happening, is a constant victim of life, which is not why life persists. But it doesn't care. It will just go on. And when your apparatus dies and your mind extinguishes and you are extinct, so what? The only one for whom there is any meaning in life is the one who's actually experiencing it. And by that I mean not just witnessing its process, but actively engaging with it. That's why when we chant Namo Myo Renge Kyo, I call it active meditation, because we are engaging with Buddha, with the process. Yeah. Precept Master Dao Xuan, or Dosen, of the Fentushi Temple at Chungnanshan in Dang, China, mentions in his Ancient and Modern Disputes Between Buddhism and Taoism, quote, in ancient China, before the time of the three emperors, Fuxi, Shen Nung, and the Yellow Emperor, they had no characters for writing, for capturing communication on paper, documentation, right? They knew who their mother was, but they did not know their father. Here we go again. They acted as if they were birds and beasts, end quote. Do you understand that quote now? Do you understand why Nichiren quotes it? Because when you're unhinged from the process, when you don't even see that there is a process, when all you are doing is plummeting through life, You're no different than a dog, a cat, a bird, a beast, right? They can take no conscious action in reference to that momentum. They can't influence it. All they do is respond, react. These are words that priest Hui Yan of Sweet China uttered when he admonished Emperor Wu of northern Chao for persecuting Buddhists. So here's another description, several actually, identifying that in these different sects, the way they contextualized Buddha. What is Buddha? In the Kusha sect, these three sects solely worship the Buddha. They worship this idea of Buddha, but they don't understand what it is. The Jojitsu sect, Shakyamuni as the Honzon, but only with the accommodative body, and the Ritsu sect, they all practice these. These are Hinayana teachings, right? The Buddha, wow, as a concept is amazing. And so they see Shakyamuni Buddha as the Honzon, as the thing to be, as the truth, but only with the accommodative body. In other words, he's a holy person. He's no different than Jesus Christ or Muhammad or any other prophet. Buddha, for them, the Hinayana, is a holy man. And they're all trying to emulate the holy man. They don't get it. They don't get the universe. They don't get the modal. The construct. Right? They don't get it. They don't see what's in front of them. The Kigan, the Sanran, the Hoso, right? A little later teaching, including the flower garland and, the different. These three sects worship Shakyamuni Buddha as the most venerable one, the Honzon again, but they consider the three bodies of the Buddha to be separate entities. The Dharma body having no beginning and no ending, the reward body having beginning but no ending, and the accommodative body having both beginning and ending. So they're still tied to the phenomenal reality of body. Shakyamuni as a man enlightened. Right? They're still attached to thing, ego, self. The Shingon sect, oh my God. This sect solely worships the great sun Buddha, Mahavarachana. Their most venerable one, however, has two different meanings. Well, of course, why wouldn't it? The first group upholds that the great sun Buddha is the Buddha Shakyamuni in the Dharma body, while the second believes the great sun Buddha is not the Dharma bodied Shakyamuni Buddha, but is the Dharma body of an entirely different Buddha. However, as the Great Sun Buddha Sutra states, that the Great Sun Buddha stands for the Buddha Shakyamuni, disputes on it are merely the prejudices of scholars. So they're just embroiled in this trying to be better than the Lotus. But all their better or equal to or difference or blah, 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 all their different rhetoric still centers around the holy man, Shakyamuni Buddha. Whether they encounter Shakyamuni Buddha's Dharma body as something after this body dies, they go to that place. It's so twisted. It's still, to these people, it's a religion. They haven't understood the science, the particular truth, the analysis of Buddhism. They're still not there. And the Pure Land sect, finally, This sect solely worships the Buddha of infinite life as the Honzon. It's interesting, isn't it? The Buddha of infinite life. These, as I've said so many times, all these different colorful names embody a personification. And in that very word is the problem. They take what is highly perceptual, introspective thought, as Nietzsche would say, introspection on the mind, and they turn it into a thing, a person, a people. And when you let go of this peopleness, you'll go to this pure place where what? Oh yeah, tranquil light. What, will be just a cloud like a fart running around in the universe? They don't think this through. They don't need to, because they've created this magical reality, and that's all they need. That's like, going back to the tree analogy, you're falling and hitting every branch, but you keep thinking to yourself that the branches are just, little birds you're running into in the clouds. And isn't this magnificent, this falling and hitting all these branches? Oh, wow. I don't know. I can't make an analogy better. It's so twisted. It's sad. It's sad. Ultimately, it's sad. These 7 sects, Nichiren continues, of Buddhism, such as the Shingon sect, other than the Hokkei sect, as well as the Pure Land sect, do not know that the Buddha Shakyamuni is their father. Not that the holy man Shakyamuni is their actual parent. You see how the language and translation and all this can muddy understanding? What Nichiren is saying is that the true parent, the true, I don't want to say progenitor, what's a better word? The true function that manifests you and me, what we would on this planet call parent, right, is the actual function of formations, that is, the entirety of manifestations of the universe. Time, space, as an illusion of this place that we find ourselves experiencing. Therefore, Buddha is not a person. It's not even a place. It is a mindful realization of the entirety of the construction, ongoing construction of life. Life. What is life then? Life is the constant instantiations, manifestations of energies expressing themselves in every possible form. It's like lighting a fire and trying to define every single speck of fire in the flames. It's just the fire, and the opportunity of every little speck in those flames to understand that it is a product of fire. What is that realization? What is that observation? What is that respect for, knowledge of? That is Buddha. And from Buddha mind, we can live this life fully without restrictions, without hanging on to stuff, flowing with it. And by flowing with it, we can nudge it. Oh, that's not really a habit energy that produces happiness. It produces anxieties and stress. Let's not let it go that way. Let's push it away from that. Let's push it to more life-affirming experience. This is what Siddhartha Gautama started out in his mission to attain enlightenment, was to figure out how to do exactly that. And that's what Buddhism is, to live this life better, fuller, more affirmingly, more instantiating of potential of life-affirming experience, and less drawn negatively, emotionally, towards trauma, pain, discomfort, sickness. Even in old age, as this body it's a time capsule, literally. There's no reason why aging and dying should be so negative, so painful. The only difference with Buddhism is that you stop thinking that way. Because thinking that way makes that your experience of it. It doesn't change it. The only thing altered is your witnessing of it. If you're fixed on celebrating life, then even its samsaric decay and ending is still part of the celebration. It's not negative. It's amazing every day. Wow, how much more can I experience this? Even if it's just little bits. It's so amazing because you know what spawned you, your parent, because the process is so immense. Do you see? Regarding the Kigon doctrines, I skipped. Beyond blah, blah, prior to the three emperors, among Buddhist schools, they are like those in ancient China before the time of the three emperors who acted as though they were birds and beasts. No birds from Mizozatsai to a Chinese phoenix know their father. Beasts, from lions to rabbits, do not know their father either. Prior to the appearance of the three emperors, neither great kings nor their subjects knew their father. Among Buddhist schools, such as the Shingon, other than the Tendai, who based on Mahayana teachings are similar to lions or Chinese phoenix, and those based on Hinayana teachings are like Mizozazai or rabbits. Neither of them are aware that the Buddha Shakyamuni is their true father who provides guidance for them. Now, this insistence on labeling Shakyamuni suddenly, when in all other instances they talk about the death of Buddha without saying Shakyamuni, this translations drive me a little bit nuts. Neither of them are aware that the Buddha Shakyamuni is their true father who provides guidance for them. This is a mistake. It's not. If we want to use it as read, then we would have to, first of all, know that Shakyamuni is not Siddhartha Gautama, is not the man who is holy and attained Buddhahood. Shakyamuni is a made-up name of Shakya, because Siddhartha is from the Shakya clan, and Muni, which is the greatest saint, the great sage, the great enlightened the thus come one from the Shakya clan. You see, there's the connection from samsaric body to enlightened being. But the enlightened being part of Shakya Muni is Buddha-ness, not Siddhartha. That's why he has a separate name, to make that division clear. So what Nichiren then, with that in mind, is saying is that what Shakyamuni is teaching from the aspect of Buddha-ness is the true mechanism of life. The Father, the process from which we are constructed, the lineage of our energy. That makes sense. Regarding the Kigon doctrines of Jikai Goku, mutual possession of the 10 realms, each of the 10 realms containing characteristics of the other 9 realms, and Ichinen Sanzen, the 3,000 existences or realms, contained in one thought moment, Cheng Quan refers to them in his contemporary on the Flower Garland Sutra, commentary on the Flower Garland Sutra. The Shingon sect, too, claims to have these two doctrines as stated in their commentary on the Great Sun Buddha Sutra. They force that in there. They understand the value of what Tendai discovered, and they're trying to take that doctrine and plug it into everything they want to promote. It's just not there. And then, our great Shingon people, they say that it was transmitted to them orally from Shubakarashima to Zen Master I Ching. Is there any difference between theirs and those of the Tendai sect? Was there anyone who established these two doctrines before the Tendai sect? So Nichiren is just pointing out the erroneous and egregious, not just errors, but outright theft to supply what? Grandeur to ego? That's not Buddhism. The annotations on the words and phrases of the Lotus Sutra, Facile 3 states, quote, comparing various viewpoints, I see that both one vehicle and three vehicle doctrines state that all living beings are endowed with 10 aspects, such as nature and form, referred to in the second chapter of the Lotus Sutra, right? We chant that every day when we do Gongyo. How could they not recognize that even the 6 realms of illusions are equipped with the 10 aspects? Right? Because if you're just stuck on the lower 6 realms, which we know from history, from our studying so far, is true of Hinayana, how could they not see that each of those realms has the 10 aspects? Doesn't the multiplication start to happen? Why do not they see this? Their capacity is the answer. But this leads me to an assumption that those scholars who had appeared during the same 500-year period prior to Grandmaster Tendai set up the 3,000 existences contained in one thought moment doctrine without the basis of the Lotus Sutra. How could they do that? It would be... It doesn't belong. Which of these things does not? It would be like finding a horse with pistons in it. What? No, the horse doesn't have... It's not a V8. You're forcing something where it doesn't belong. Question. Does the Kigon sect, established during the reign of Empress Wu in Dang, China, adopt the doctrine of 3,000 existences contained in one thought? Answer. A commentary on the Flower Garland Sutra was written by State Master Qing Liang, or Cheng Quan, the 4th patriarch of the Kigon sect. The 33rd Facile states, quote, Grandmaster Tendai's great concentration and insight, Facile 5, reveals the 10 ways of contemplation for completeness. Shi Fa Cheng Chang, second of which is the true and pure aspiration for enlightenment. The meaning of aspiration for both upper and lower in the Flower Garland Sutra is profound, but it explains the gist of the 10 ways of contemplation for completeness quite well. Grandmaster Tendai therefore cited it for verification, end quote. The commentary also says in the 29th facile, the second chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Expedience, states that only Buddhas can see all things as they really are. The Tendai sect considers the doctrines of mutual possession of 10 realms and 3,000 existences contained in one thought, Ichinen Sanzen, to be fundamental. So does the Kigon sect. We'll go ahead and agree with that. The Flower Garland Sutra was expounded by Bodhisattva Kung Te Lin according to the old translation, by Chuen Lin according to the new translation, and by Bodhisattva Ju Lai Nin according to the annotations on the Great Concentration and Insight, the Mho Chi Quan, Fu Xing Chuan, and Hung Chue. This Flower Garland Sutra declares, quote, our mind produces everything consistent of the 5 aggregates, just as a painter with a brush draws all things. Mind, living beings, and the Buddha all work in the same way, and they are in unison and cannot be found separately. If one wants to know about Buddhas in past, present, and future lives, one should realize that those Buddhas are in one's mind, and that no Buddha is found outside one's mind. End quote. The statement of the so-called Ryaku Kaisan, Genchichi, briefly revealing the one-vehicle teaching, replacing the 3-vehicle teaching, found in the 2nd chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Expedient Means, reads, quote, all things have appearance, natures, entities, power, activities, primary causes, environmental causes, effects, rewards, and retributions, which are equal despite differences. When these 10 suchnesses, right? Aspects are fused into one and are equal, this is the reality of all things. Every single moment is like this. Every single moment is a fusion for that moment of the various instantiations of potential in your momentum. This is how karma drives us through time-space, by instantiating constantly within the confines of what is possible, however huge that is, but possible, parameterized only by the set of karmas, the energies of which you're manifesting. That is the only uniqueness to you. It is also stated in the same chapter, quote, only the Buddhas know the Dharma because Buddhas appear in the world only for one great purpose. What is their great purpose? They appear in the world in order to cause all living beings to obtain the wisdom of the Buddha, with which he is able to see through everything. End quote. The Lotus Samadhi Sutra, or Renge Samakyo, says, homage to the original, everlasting Myoho Renge Buddha, residing in our hearts. On the platform of lotus flowers, in his mind dwell the 37 honorables of the diamond realm, who are innately equipped with the virtue of the 3 bodies of a Buddha. The king of mind, the substance of mind, is the all-shining great sun Buddha, and various functions of the mind are uncountable Buddhas. This mind inherently possesses the virtue of samadhi, which saves all living beings equally, regardless of the quantity of their merit of practicing Buddhism and power obtained by it, contented with the unlimited expanse of the sea of virtue, one pays respect to one's Buddhas in his mind. A lot of fancy words, right? But do you see what's being pointed out here throughout? The witness, the mind. The witness, which is integrated, emergent from, and has the opportunity to not only participate, but in that participation, influence. That's so immensely powerful. Think of it. Think of it. You are doing a practice. I'll just finish. There's one more sentence. The Sutra of Buddhist Repository. The Buddha beholds a Buddha sitting in the meditation in the mind of each living being. So, I want you to think about this. How it's so hard to put this into words. Your practice right now, as you sit in front of your Butsudan and you stare at Myoho characters on your mandala so that you can peer into your own mind and dedicate your mind to Buddha, to all of the senses, all of the clarification of senses. I want Buddha operating my vision. I want Buddha operating my oral perception. I want Buddha in command of my senses, all of them, leading me leading me, because that Buddha is your mind, leading me, my me-ness, always toward life affirmation and happiness in every single moment that I am manifest. Understand what I just said puts you at the helm, puts you at the driver's seat, puts you in control of the entire mechanism of the universe. Sound crazy? Not at all. Because all of the history of the universe, billions of years, however you want to conceptualize that, only exists in this moment, in this moment, in this moment, in this moment. And by awakening your Buddha mind to understand that, puts you in control of this moment, of this moment, of this moment. Just let that simmer. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share if you can or want. Download the audio podcast. Use the threefoldlotus.com website. Go to the bookstore. Get yourself a mandala. If you don't already have one, my goodness, what are you waiting for? You have my wholehearted encouragement. Find Buddha in your mind. Do it now. All kinds of jokes. And I have a real jokester of a mind, let me tell you. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thanks again. I dearly appreciate you, your study, your practice, your support. Patreon, PayPal, yeah. I can't say enough, so I will say no more. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.